are you doing in my swamp? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my ranking for all 22 Pixar movies. I was going to do this ranking a couple of months ago when Onward was released on Disney Plus, but my Disney Plus viewing experience of that movie was not very good because it kept buffering, so I was like, I'm going to go ahead and wait till I can rewatch it once I get it on Blu-ray, and I just finished rewatching it and everything, and so I'm going to go ahead and do this ranking now. So starting out at number 22 is Cars 2. This movie is widely known to be the movie that broke Pixar's winning streak of never having any bad movies, and most people consider this the one Pixar movie that is terrible. Personally, I don't think that it's terrible, but I can handle watching it every once in a while, but I do agree that this is not a very good movie. It's easily the worst movie Pixar has ever done, and it's really the only one that felt like a true cash grab to me out of Pixar's movies. I know other people could argue that Toy Story 4 was a cash grab, or Cars 3, but I loved both of those movies, and I'll talk more about them when I get to those. But Cars 2 just was not a very good movie. Making Mater the main character was really one of the biggest mistakes. I did love Mater in the first movie and everything, but he was a supporting character and everything. Trying to make him carry a movie just did not work and everything. So Cars 2 is number 22, and number 21 is The Good Dinosaur. This movie is one that I've only seen a couple times. I saw it once in theaters, and then I think I've watched it once since I've gotten it on DVD. I don't really even remember it very well. This is easily probably the most forgettable Pixar movie, because, I mean, even though I didn't really like Cars 2 that much, I wouldn't say that it was forgettable, because it's easy to remember how bad that one is. But this one, it's not really necessarily a bad movie. It just isn't really a very great one either. It's just kind of meh, not very memorable and everything. The only thing I really remember about the movie is that the animation was really good, and it was really cool seeing Sam Elliott as a cowboy T-Rex, which if you watch the movie it makes more sense when I say that, but I thought that his character was pretty interesting. But besides that, that's all I really remember about this movie. It just was very forgettable. So The Good Dinosaur is number 21, and number 20 is Brave. Now starting with this one up, these are all movies that I really like a lot. I thought Brave was a really good movie, and I still actually kind of think it's a little bit underrated. A lot of people don't like this one near as much, because they felt like it was false advertising. Like, the trailers and stuff made it look like it was going to be something that it wasn't. It was like a totally different type of movie than I think anybody expected. But I actually, that's one of the reasons I liked it so much, was that it was not anything like I was expecting it to be. I thought it was a really good movie. It's definitely not Pixar's best or anything, but it still is a really good one, and I think this is one of the ones that's kind of underrated. But I think that it is a pretty good movie. So Brave is number 20, and number 19 is Cars. This one is considered to be the black sheep of the Pixar movies. A lot of people don't like Cars 1 because it kicked off the franchise, and a lot of people didn't like the sequels, and they felt like this one was passable but not real great. Personally, I don't really have anything against the first Cars movie. When I saw it the first time, I did feel slight disappointment in it, but I didn't think that it was a terrible movie. I thought it was good enough. It could have been better, could have been worse, and everything. And I definitely don't think that it's the worst Pixar movie. It's definitely not one of the best either, though. But it's still better than a lot of people give it credit for. So, but really, my biggest complaint with this movie is Lightning McQueen is not a very likable character. He's just this really cocky douchebag character, and a lot of the other characters are alright in here, but they're not as memorable as some of the other Pixar movies, aside from Mater, who stole the show in this movie, but didn't totally run the sequel, because, like I said when I was talking about Cars 2, he just was not made to carry a movie. But Mater was great in this movie, and one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is the cow tipping, or the tractor tipping scene. But I think Cars is really kind of an underrated movie. It's not one of my most favorites, but it's definitely not a terrible movie either. So it's number 19, and number 18 is Coco. A lot of people would have this movie a lot higher, and it does have potential to move up. I've only seen this one a couple times, kind of like with the Good Dinosaur and everything, but I really did like this movie a lot. I love the dark themes of the movie, like the stuff that happens with Hector. It was really interesting, and that scene at the end when he's singing to Mama Coco, singing Remember Me, that scene is just heartbreaking to watch. But this movie is just done very, very well. I thought it was a really interesting take on the culture and stuff that the movie represents, and it was a very interesting movie, and it's one that I've really, really enjoyed quite a bit. Like I said, all of these Pixar movies are movies that I really love. So kind of ranking, you can't put everything in the top. But this one is a really good one, and it does have a lot of potential to move up on rewatch. I haven't watched it in a couple years, so who knows, it might move up next time I rewatch it. But Coco is number 18, and number 17 is Cars 3. This was one that, when I heard about it, I was like, this movie is just a cash grab. Cars 2 was not very good. Most people didn't like it, and at the time when I heard the announcement, I was like, okay, Cars are starting to overstay their welcome, because, like I said, I had no excitement for Cars 3. I saw the trailers, I was like, okay, maybe this could be a little bit interesting, and then I saw more trailers. I was like, actually, I don't know. I think they spoiled a lot of stuff from the beginning of the movie, which they did do in the trailers, but it was still effective in the movie. Lightning McQueen's crash was still really good, and I thought that was a smart move, using it in the marketing, though, because using that kind of marketing really made people interested to see what would happen, I'm guessing, or at least that's what they thought would work. I don't really know how other people feel about Cars 3, because it's one that's never talked about. Now, a lot of people would talk about how Cars 1 is either an alright movie, or not one of Pixar's best, but not one of their worst, and everyone talks about how bad Cars 2 is, but nobody really talks about Cars 3. Personally, I thought that it was really good. I actually think it's the best one out of the Cars movies so far. Hopefully it'll be the last one out of the Cars movies, but there's rumors that there's going to be a fourth one. Hopefully that's not going to happen, especially since Pete Docter is really interested in doing original movies. But I thought Cars 3 was really good, though. I think it's really underrated, and everything. So it's number 17, and number 16 is A Bug's Life. This is another one that kind of is underrated. A lot of people, especially in recent years, have kind of gone back to it and talked, and I've seen them talking about it in some of the movie groups I'm in on Facebook, like how A Bug's Life is kind of become underappreciated because it was the second Pixar movie, so a lot of people don't really talk about it as much because it was kind of a little bit of a step down after Toy Story 1, but I still thought it was a really solid movie and everything, and it also was overshadowed because the controversy with Ants, which was done by DreamWorks Animation, and all that, which I think that kind of hurt the movie too. But I thought A Bug's Life was a really good movie. I personally think it's the better out of the two with Ants. But I think this movie is really good. It still holds up really well. And Hopper is probably my favorite Pixar villain. Kevin Spacey just does an excellent job doing his voice and everything. Of course, Kevin Spacey is a creepy psychopath in real life like Hopper is in that movie, so I guess it makes sense why he fits the role so well. But I do absolutely love A Bug's Life, and I think it's kind of underrated. And everything. It's kind of become underappreciated in recent years. I think it did decent when it came out, but in recent years it just isn't a huge hit anymore, and a lot of people don't talk about it very much. But A Bug's Life is number 16, and number 15 is Wally. This is one that most people would have really, really high on the ranking, and like I said before, this ranking is kind of hard to do because there are so many great movies. Pixar really doesn't make movies that I feel are bad, and I just felt like this was a really, really good movie. And it's one of those that doesn't really need a sequel, but I actually kind of am curious to see what would have happened next and everything, because like at the end of this movie when the humans go back to Earth and everything, it kind of makes you wonder, okay, what are the robots' jobs going to be as Earth goes, as they try to rebuild Earth and make it go back to normal and everything. I kind of would like to see what would happen in a future sequel and everything, but I did really love Wall-E. I think it's a really good movie, and it's one that is really, really popular among Pixar fans, and I can completely understand why people would have it a lot higher and everything. And it's not that I don't think this one was very good, and the reason it's in the middle of this list is mostly just because of the fact that there are so many other movies that Pixar has done that I like more than it. But I think Wall-E is a really great movie, and it's number 15. And number 14 is Ratatouille. After Cars came out, I was kind of losing interest in Pixar. I'd loved all the movies before Cars and everything, but Cars kind of, for a little while, took my interest away from Pixar, because I was like, this movie was just not very great, and everything. So, and Ratatouille, I saw the trailers and stuff, and I was like, this movie does not look very good. The concept of a rat wanting to be a chef just did not sound that appealing to me and everything. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, I'm never going to judge a story by its cover, because the sound of what this movie is about did not sound interesting, but this was a really entertaining movie. It's really underrated. A lot of people don't talk about this one as much. It's directed by Brad Bird, who did the Incredibles movies, and personally, while I don't think it's on the same level as the Incredibles movies are, I think it is a really good movie. It's very entertaining. Remy is a really awesome character. I also like Linguini, and the Paris setting is really great. And I just really think that Ratatouille is very underrated. So it's number 14, and number 13 is Monsters University. This is one a lot of people didn't like, because they didn't want a prequel to Monsters Inc. And personally, I didn't want one either. I personally wanted a sequel more than a prequel, but I still liked it. This movie really doesn't have much of a reason to exist. It kind of uh, contradicts some of the stuff that happens in the first Monsters Inc. Like Mike's joke about Sully being jealous of his good looks since the 4th grade and everything, which the filmmakers went on to say that it was just meant as a joke in that movie, but still, but this movie is still really good. It does take a lot of the college movie tropes that you see in those type of movies and everything. And it did, in some ways, even feel like a little bit of a rip-off of an extremely goofy movie, which I felt like did the college setting a lot better. And that was a direct-to-video sequel. But I still did like Monsters University. I thought it was really great getting to see Mike and Sully again, kind of getting to see how they met, although I didn't really like how different Sully was. But then again, you got to remember he's set 10 years younger than he was in Monsters Inc., so his attitude and stuff would be different and everything. But I thought Monsters University was a good movie. It could have been a lot better, and it doesn't really have a reason to exist, but I'm still glad that it does. So it's number 13. And number 12 is the newest movie from Pixar, Onward. Rewatching it this morning, I absolutely just love this movie. The animation is stunningly beautiful. The voice cast is great, especially Chris Pratt. And all the characters are pretty good in here. Although I would say that Ian, who is voiced by Tom Holland, I think his character is a little bit annoying. I actually prefer Barley's Chris Pratt, who's voiced by Chris Pratt. I like his character better, but I thought the voice cast did really good together. The animation is great, and Onward is just a really, really good movie. It's pretty underrated. I know a lot of people that have seen it have said that they felt like it was a huge disappointment and stuff, and I guess I could somewhat understand, because it doesn't go in a direct... They could have done a lot better with the fantasy story that they had and everything, but I thought Onward was a decent movie, and it was a lot better than most people said it was. And for right now, it's number 12. And number 11 is The Incredibles. I absolutely love this movie. I was 12 years old when it came out, so I was kind of the perfect age for it. I wasn't really into superheroes back then, except for like Spider-Man, and I did like X-Men, but I wasn't like a huge superhero fan. But The Incredibles was a movie that I never expected to like near as much as I did. I went to see it 3 times in theaters, and the last time I saw it in the theaters was with a group of my middle school friends, so I kind of have nostalgia feelings when I rewatch it because of that, too, thinking about all my middle school friends and stuff. But I thought that The Incredibles was a really good movie. It had a great villain with Syndrome, and that twist about him being Buddy from the beginning of the movie blew my mind back then. If I were to watch it nowadays, if I would have saw it for the first time nowadays, I probably would have been able to figure it out before even getting that far into before they revealed it and everything. But back then, it was a big surprise twist to me and everything. I still think this movie holds up really, really well, and it's still definitely one of Pixar's best. So it's number 11, and number 10 is Incredibles 2. I know I'm in the minority of people who would say that Incredibles 2 is better than the first. I know most people I know that have seen it have said that they felt extremely disappointed by it. But I think the reason I liked Incredibles 2 so much is I went in with extremely low expectations. I kept my expectations very low because I knew if I didn't, I was going to be disappointed because of how hyped up that movie, how hyped up it was, and everything. And I still really enjoyed it. The voice cast was all really great again, and Jack was just absolutely adorable. And his little fight with the raccoon is one of the highlights of the movie. And I thought that the villain was really good too. I know a lot of people didn't like her, and they're like, the minute they saw her, they knew she was going to be the villain and stuff. But I was like, I kind of figured she would be, but it didn't really bother me. Because like I said, if I were to have watched The Incredibles for the first time here recently, I would have known instantly who Syndrome was. So I kind of figured that Evelyn was going to be the villain, although I also thought that her brother could have been the villain too, because from the trailers and stuff, I was like, one of them two was going to be the villain. And personally, I thought it was going to be her brother because of the character that they had, the villain they created to try to keep superheroes illegal was really cool. I can't remember what his name was, but I thought that was a really good twist too, like that the person we think is going to be the main villain isn't even really a character. I thought that was kind of cool too. Now, I just think Incredibles 2 was a really underrated movie, and it's one of the few times where a sequel is better than the first as far as animated movies go, and which is one thing that Pixar does know how to do, is they do a good job at making sequels and everything. And I think Incredibles 2 was a really good one. So it's number 10. And number 9 is Finding Dory. Anybody who knows me knows how big of a fan I am of Finding Nemo. So when they announced Finding Dory, I was really skeptical. I was like, okay, I don't see how this is going to work, because Finding Nemo was a perfect movie that didn't need a sequel. And when I heard that they were going to make it focused on Dory, I was kind of somewhat worried, because when they made her the main character in Cars 2, it just did not work at all and everything. So I was like, I hope that Dory can carry a movie. But unlike Mater, Dory really was lovable in the first movie and was able to carry this movie and everything. It was awesome getting to see her and Nemo and Marlin back again, and all the new characters are really likable, especially Hank the Octopus. He was absolutely hilarious, and Ed O'Neill did a great job voicing him, and all the other characters, Bailey and the other well, I can't remember their names, but all of the new characters were great. My only complaint on this movie was I wish that the Tank Gang would have had more to do with this movie and everything, but it was still cool. We got to see them at the end of after the credits. But Finding Dory is just a really, really good movie. So it's number 9, and number 8 is Monsters, Inc. This was a huge, huge movie when I was a kid. It came out, I think, when I was 9 years old, and I remember it felt like a really big event movie. I had all the toys from McDonald's, plus all kinds of other toys that year for Christmas. That's pretty much all that I got for Christmas that year was Monsters, Inc. stuff. I had all kinds of toys, and I think I even had some blankets and pillowcases and clothes and stuff with the Monsters, Inc. characters. It was just a really, really huge part of my childhood, and it still is one of Pixar's very best movies. In fact, I debated whether to put this one at this number or have it at 7 or 8, because 7 and 8 are also two really, really good Pixar movies and everything, but I decided to go ahead and put this at 8. But it was a really great one, and it was the first one that was directed by Pete Docter, and I think that he's one of Pixar's best directors and everything. But I absolutely love Monsters Inc. It's just an absolutely great movie and everything. So it's number 8, and number 7 is Up. This one I went into not knowing hardly anything about it. I had seen, I think, the teaser trailer where it shows Carl leaving in his house, and Russell is on his doorstep and everything, but that was the only trailer I had watched. I avoided all the other trailers, and I just absolutely fell in love with this movie. I saw it the opening night when it was released in theaters, because I was going to the movies there, and that was what was being released that week, so I just was like, I'll just see that one, and it instantly became one of my favorite movies of the year, and it's just such a great movie from Pixar. The first 10 minutes alone is some of the best animated storytelling out there, and Michael Giacchino, I think is how you say his name, his score, especially during that first 10 minutes, is absolutely amazing. The animation is great, it still holds up really well, and I just feel like this movie is really, really good. I know most people, when they talk about this movie, mainly love it for the beginning of the movie. I know there's even some people that say that after the first 10 minutes, the rest of the movie isn't that good. I personally disagree with them on that. And also part of this, too, I think, is my grandfather had just passed away when this movie came out. And the story of Carl wanting to move his house because of his wife, stuff kind of hit me, because it reminded me of my grandpa after my grandma died, and it was a really good emotional movie, and it was one of the best movies of 2009, and easily one of Pixar's best movies. So it's number 7, and number 6 is Inside Out. This movie felt like a therapy session that I didn't even know I needed. It was just an emotional roller coaster of a movie that had a lot of funny moments, a lot of sad moments, even some creepy moments with when they show the clown in Riley's head. That stuff really creeped me out. But it was a really entertaining movie, very, very well written, and like I said when I was talking about Monsters Inc., Pete Docter is just a really great director, and definitely one of the best directors at Pixar. I thought he was great, and did a great job with this movie, and I can't wait to see Soul and see what that's like. I'm sure it'll be an amazing movie too, but I really love Inside Out. I think it's a really, really great movie, so it's number 6. And number 5 is Toy Story 1. I just absolutely love the Toy Story franchise. And the first one was a great movie. It was the first Pixar movie, and it was groundbreaking for being the first computer animated movie, and it just was an absolute masterpiece, and it still is a great movie to this day. The animation might have aged some, but it still looks really good, though. I mean, but you look at this one and then look at the animation in Toy Story 4, you see how far the animation has come and everything since then. But I still think that it holds up really well. The voice cast was all perfect in this franchise, and I thought this was just a great way to kick it off. Woody is one of my favorite characters, and I've had a Woody doll ever since I was a little kid because of this movie, and I actually still collect Toy Story toys because I just absolutely love these characters and stuff. But Toy Story is number 5, and number 4 is Toy Story 2. This is the one that out of all the Toy Story movies, I would have the most nostalgia for. I saw it in theaters twice as a kid, and like with Monsters Inc., the year that Toy Story 2 came out, that was pretty much all I got for Christmas was Toy Story stuff. Got all kinds of toys and movies and Toy Story books, and I had all kinds of Toy Story stuff. I think I even had like toothbrushes and stuff. I know there was like Buzz Lightyear cereal that I used to get, and I just was really, really big into Toy Story at the time that this movie came out and everything. So I just absolutely loved Toy Story 2. And I thought it was one that just took the first movie, expanded on it, and did really, really great. And it's a great way to do a sequel. And they just did such an excellent job with this movie. So Toy Story 2 is number 4, and number 3 is Toy Story 3. I can't believe it's already almost been 10 years since this movie came out. I remember when Toy Story 3 came out, I think at the time it was probably the most anticipated I had ever been for a movie. I was so excited for Toy Story 3. Of course, it was 10 years in the waiting, and by the time that Toy Story 3 came out, I was just about to turn 18 and everything, so the themes of the movie of growing up and stuff like that really hit close to me, which I think it did with everybody from my generation that grew up with Toy Story. I think that's one of the reasons Toy Story 3 is so beloved, is a lot of people could relate to Andy in that movie, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really, really great movie. It blew me away at how good it was, actually, and I never expected that. When it came out, I was like, there's no way it's going to be able to be as good as Toy Story 2, maybe even the first one, and I felt like they did it and actually made Toy Story 3 even better, and it's just absolutely great movie. So Toy Story 3 is number 2, and number 2 is Toy Story 4. I know a lot of people were skeptical about Toy Story 4, and I can understand why. Toy Story 3's ending was perfect and everything, but this was a great epilogue for the Toy Story franchise, and it also was a really fitting and perfect ending to it too. I don't think we'll be getting any more Toy Story movies, and the way it ended, I really don't want them to make any more, because more than likely if they do, Woody wouldn't be in it and everything because of what happens. But I just absolutely love Toy Story 4. I went in there with really high expectations, because I mean, I didn't believe Pixar would make Toy Story 4 if it wasn't worth telling. Everybody else was skeptical, saying that it's just a cash grab and all that, and everything. And I was like, Pixar wouldn't make Toy Story 4 if they didn't feel like it was a good story to tell. I just didn't realize how good of a story it was going to be. I just felt like it was easily the best movie in the franchise. Once again, some of the stuff that Woody's going through in this movie was relatable to me, especially last year and everything. So I think that also helped too. Toy Story 4 was just a really, really great movie and everything. So it's number 2, and it's barely number 2, but my number 1 is easily Finding Nemo. This is probably my second favorite animated movie of all time, behind Shrek. I just absolutely love Finding Nemo. I have a lot of nostalgia for it and everything. While I could say that Toy Story 2 and Monsters Inc., I had just as much, if not more, nostalgia for in some ways. Finding Nemo has a really special place in my heart, because it was the very last movie I watched with my grandma and everything. But it's not just that, it really is just an extremely great movie The voice cast is excellent. The animation is stunning, beautiful. It's so beautiful that it does, and so good that they didn't really have to do a lot to up the animation of Finding Dory. They just did it, and everything. So I feel like out of all the sequels, you can tell a difference in the animations in the movies, but Finding Nemo and Finding Dory look exactly alike because they put so much effort into the details and stuff in this one, and it's just such an excellent movie. Finding Nemo is easily one of my favorite movies of all time, and everything. So it's number one. But anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite Pixar movie is. If you want, you can tell me your ranking of the Pixar movies. If you don't want to do a full ranking, just tell me your favorite and your least favorite. And tell me who your favorite Pixar character is. That's something I'd be interested in. And if you want me to, let me know in the comments if you want me to do a top 10 favorite Pixar characters. Because I've kind of been thinking about doing that too sometime. Let me know in the comments what you think about that as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And have a good day, everybody.